1 year younger, 6 inches taller, 7-inch reach advantage, and 55 pounds heavier. Tyson Fury, after 2 tries, still could not defeat Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk may be one of the most skilled heavyweight boxers we have ever seen. Probably the best. A 55-pound difference is such an extraordinary advantage. You don't normally see fights where 2 fighters are that vastly different in size. And Usyk was still able to beat that size with his technique. If these 2 fights teach us anything, it's that skill and technique beat size. What an amazing performance from Oleksandr Usyk. And how did he do it? How was he able to beat Tyson Fury? Well, let's begin in the first round here, because it's all about the footwork. It's all about the head movement and the shot placements as well, but in this fight, he was mostly landing with the left hand. Both in opposite stances, Usyk was using that outside foot advantage, so getting his lead foot on the outside of Tyson Fury's in order to line up his power hand. It could seem like a repetitive punch that was constantly successful, but it's all about the timing. And Tyson Fury had good uppercuts on his side, the lead uppercut, the rear uppercut, very sneaky counterpunching. Now he did hold on to the back of Usyk's head with a single collar tie to land uppercuts, which I don't know if is allowed in boxing, but he did it a lot. We do know that Fury will bend the rules in his fight, like how he blatantly elbowed Ngannou and even in this fight, headlocked Usyk throwing uppercuts at him, and in moments able to match the speed of Usyk. There's also credit to Fury for a guy who's 281 pounds. To keep up with the speed in certain exchanges was impressive. So we start in this exchange right here. Oleksandr Usyk, as a shorter fighter, he's measuring for himself. So he has that lead hand extended forward, and he dips to his right, lead foot on the outside of Fury's while holding a high guard. Very defensive move right here. And all he's doing is gauging his openings. He's not really attacking here. He's not looking to land the left hand in this moment. It's the first round. He's trying to find his openings before he attacks heavily. And he has to be cautious against a much bigger fighter like this, just like he was in the first fight. And you can see Tyson Fury extends that lead arm. Very easy technique for him, being as long as he is. But notice that Fury did not shift his movement. He didn't move his feet. All he did was extend the lead hand. This is going to cause Fury to be stationary in these kind of exchanges when Usyk uses that same movement again. And Usyk understands that. He read that movement from Tyson Fury. So they're both from range. And Fury attacks with a body jab, which Usyk was able to parry downward. Because the hand is deflected so low, there's an opening above the shoulder of Tyson Fury, which now Usyk steps on the outside foot again, very quickly for a swift attack. He throws a jab to measure his range, knowing that Fury is most likely going to use his reach as a defensive mechanism to get away from Usyk. That's what Fury usually likes to do against much shorter opponents. So there comes that long left hook, but Usyk was one step ahead, ducks right under it, and lands a left hand to the body. This left hand to the body is also going to be chained up with an extended combination as Fury's trying to get away. And because he swung so wide with that big left hook, Fury has to take a second before he could throw another punch. And Usyk switches into the opposite stance, so he's taking a big stride forward. That's what switching stances moving forward does. It's like taking a big step forward, and he throws a huge, now lead left hook in orthodox, which Fury was just able to get away from it by pushing away at Usyk's face. He didn't punch, he merely just pushed at him, extending that arm. It's such an advantage having an 85-inch reach. It's so abnormal. But here's the thing. When he pushed away at Usyk's face, notice what Usyk's left hook does. It collides with Fury's left arm, knocking it away. This collision now opens up Fury down the center. Look how wide his guard is. He doesn't have his hands up. Both of his arms are wide apart. Not only is his left arm out there to the side, but notice even his right arm, his elbow is flared out. It's not tucked in, guarding himself tightly, completely defenseless, and moving closer to the ropes. Usyk, from the orthodox stance, which is the opposite of his usual natural stance, lands a big right straight as Fury is trying to swing back that wide left arm, and look how Usyk blocks it, raising his shoulder up, multiple steps ahead of Tyson Fury. This moment just shows you how technical this guy is. And then Fury tries to connect with a right uppercut that Usyk ducks under and then pushes away from Tyson Fury. Usyk is amazing, man, and it's one of many of the exchanges. Now we go to one of Fury's moments. So they're both from range, and Usyk leans to his right with a high guard. This is very similar to what he did with that first movement we talked about, but Fury actually made a read right here. He flicks out a jab at that side of Usyk, and Usyk expected it because of how quickly he was able to move his head on the inside of the punch and lowered his guard. By leaning to that side, he was baiting Fury into throwing that punch. Fury throws another jab, which Usyk gets his head under. He ducks under the punch while leaning to his left side, but that's the thing. Fury doubled up on his jab. That was something I don't don't think Usyk expected. He most likely expected Fury to throw a jab and then a straight, just like a lot of boxers do. And because he slipped his head to the left, he was looking to slip on the outside of a right straight. But because another jab came his way, now normally Usyk would be open to the right hand of Tyson Fury, but he was still able to move his head fast enough away from that side while throwing a left hook at the same time. So there's a lot of momentum thrown with that punch, because you notice that when Tyson Fury threw the right hand, it never connects. And Fury was able to get away from the punch as usual using that reach. If he didn't have that reach, these exchanges would be very, very different. And Usyk, it looked like he got hit and he stumbled from the punch. That's what the reaction of the audience showed. But in fact, it was himself throwing the punch so heavy while overloading on the hips to his left side. He stumbled because he threw that left hook so hard. And he covers himself just in case, because he lost balance, that Tyson Fury would try to land some punches in that moment. Then from range, Usyk again extends that lead arm to measure, and also getting Fury's line of sight linear. So he sees the straight punch, he sees Usyk on the straight line, and he knows the defensive move of Tyson Fury is always to extend that lead arm. So he quickly steps on the outside of the lead foot and lines up the left straight as Fury tries to extend that arm linearly. Usyk created an illusion that he was going to stay on the straight line. Great move from Usyk. And then notice how he leans his head to the left side again, just like he did before. He's pretty much telling Tyson Fury, you're going to throw another punch again? And Fury this time does not take the bait. So great adjustment from Fury here to not fall into that same trap, because Usyk most likely would have adjusted in that exchange. High level boxing between the two best heavyweight boxers in the world, man. Now we go to this exchange and notice how Usyk is always changing his levels. He's going low, then going really high, low, then high, almost like he's hopping while taking small steps forward. Now this did get read by Fury, who intercepts that movement later, but in this moment here, he's overloading the nervous system of Tyson Fury. He's constantly getting him to react to these feints. And Fury's reaction is constantly to extend that lead arm at him. And no matter, every time he extends the lead arm before Usyk attacks, Usyk sees the opening on which path he can get to land a punch on Tyson Fury, but he does the same move again, gets his head on the outside of the extended arm and lands the left hand to the body, this time toward the chest area, which is not really going to cause that much damage. But he's still landing punches, which is important in boxing because of how the scoring criteria is set up. Now, uncharacteristically, Usyk gets aggressive and doesn't use the same kind of movements that we're seeing here. You can see the footwork and the head movement of Oleksandr Usyk is very slick, moving side to side, making Fury think he's going to attack on a straight line, but he's moving side to side and throwing out feints and extending his jab in order to line up a diagonal movement for a punch. But this time he actually moves linearly. He moves straight at Tyson Fury, which is something that he doesn't normally do, or at least this obvious. So it looks like Usyk may have stepped on the outside of the lead foot again, but he doesn't dip his head the same way that he did before. In fact, his head is almost exactly where it was when he first was sitting at range. On the straight line, that is, right? Of course, the distance is going to be different, but his head is moving at Tyson Fury on the same line. And he swings a very wide left hook. Look how open he is. He was trying to get the knockout. That's what it looked like here. He was trying to throw with all of his power to land the left hook on Tyson Fury, maybe because of some kind of read he made earlier. The Fury would be open to this punch, so if he actually exploded with everything he had, he thought he could have landed this punch, but Fury's very good as well. So he extends his lead arm forward, which goes above the head of Usyk, puts his hand on top of Usyk's head, moves back, and throws a counter right uppercut through that huge opening. I mean, look how wide apart Usyk's arms are, while at the same time, because he's so tall, his shoulders are naturally going to be very high, making Usyk have to throw his punches higher in order to land to the head. So as they're both throwing their punches, and because Usyk was throwing so wide, Fury was able to land his punch first on the inside of Usyk's huge left hook. The shorter the punch, the less the windup, the less the telegraph, the easier it's going to land and beat and get to the target faster, which allows him to also block the left hook with his right shoulder. But even after landing the punch like that, Fury steps back into the southpaw stance in order to throw a punch as quickly as he can, because the right uppercut causes him to rotate to his left side. So all he does is step back with that left foot, and now he's in southpaw and he just throws in a flicker jab again, which Usyk was able to slip on the outside of. This is a very fast technique to throw. A flicker jab is just something to throw out there to land or to set up a punch. It's not really a power punch that's hugely telegraphed. But Usyk, even after getting hit by such a big shot, was still aware enough right after that moment to slip a jab like that so quickly. And you see the reaction of Tyson Fury. Look how he extends both of his hands forward and he leans away. If you look at it in real time, he like twitched backwards because he sees Usyk move his head and he thought, oh, he's going to throw another left hand. Look how much respect Tyson Fury has for Oleksandr Usyk, man. But Usyk Usyk doesn't throw a punch at all. He just moves away and resets. So that punch from Usyk was kind of uncharacteristic. He doesn't normally move like that. He doesn't try to just swing some big punch to KO his opponent in that kind of fashion. So a few seconds later, he attacks again, but the way that Usyk usually does. He steps forward but ducks to his left side. Notice how he's leaning a little bit to the left and ducking inward while throwing a jab at the chest. The reason why he's throwing it at the chest is, number one, Fury's incredibly tall, so if he throws it to the head, he's going to be reaching in a little bit more, so the chest is directly at his eye level when he's ducking in. And also, it lines up the left hand a little bit better because it's causing Fury to have to square up a bit. And if Fury's going to rotate his body, the chest is going to rotate with it. So he's going to feel the movement with his punch on which direction Fury is going to rotate, which also means which angle he's going to try to move his head. If Fury tries a shoulder roll, so he rotates to his left, raising that right shoulder, and it wasn't enough. Usyk was way too precise with that left straight. And by blitzing forward, Usyk also switches stances and throws a big right hook, which Fury again able to extend his arms forward and push away from Usyk, causing the punch to miss. Now Usyk's going to throw another big left hook, but he sets it up differently this time. He doesn't just walk forward and throw it off of one jab without moving his head. So he throws a jab to the body while stepping on the outside of the lead foot and also leaning his head slightly to the left. Notice how he's hunched over a little bit to his left side. Not a big movement, but the outside step is the big thing here, while also not keeping his head on a straight line. But notice how Fury picks up that right hand, guarding both his head and his body. So the elbow is going to be guarding his body and the hand is going to be guarding his head. So the first step forward was with the jab. He takes another big step forward while moving his head to the right side this time. Look how far out he is to try to get around the guard, and so he doesn't get countered like he did before. And it looks like Fury blocked the punch, although it still causes blowback through the hand. Now notice in this moment, Usyk comes out there with a similar kind of movement like he did before. He extends the lead arm forward, steps on the outside of the lead foot, picks up his guard. This is very similar to what Usyk did before. But also to mention, he is also extending that lead hand to trap Tyson Fury's left hand, eliminating it from intercepting his movement, because if he doesn't trap that hand and he's moving his head to the outside like that, Fury could intercept him with a left hook. And then notice how Usyk angles the other way. He's moving his head to the left side while extending that right hand. And remember before, Fury threw a jab, which Usyk was able to slip his head on the outside of the punch, so he thought another jab was going to come, but Fury was one step ahead. He made the adjustment from that previous exchange. He throws a left hook instead, faking it like it was going to be a flicker jab. Look how he's bending his wrist inward while extending that left arm. It looks like he's going to flick it out there for a jab. But no, he throws out a left hook instead, which intercepts the movement. And by doing that, he's able to keep Usyk in that position for a split second so he can land a right hook to the body. And then Usyk extends a jab while moving out to his right side. He's moving away from the power hand of Tyson Fury. And one advantage that throwing punches so high at a taller fighter has is that you naturally raise your shoulders while throwing punches, right? Because you're trying to reach so high at the target, it's causing your shoulders to raise up with them. So this is going to help him to naturally block punches just in case Fury's throwing hooks at the same time. But Fury leans away from the jab, extends his left arm on the right side of Usyk, stopping him from angling out to the right, therefore keeping him in position to land a big right hook. Fury threw that right hook with all of his power, looking for the knockout. And look how close they are too, with an 85-inch reach. You would think this punch would land at this range even if Usyk moved away, but it had to have been a millimeter. This shot nearly landed flush. Look at this. Usyk was just far enough from the punch in order to defend it. That is insane distance management from Oleksandr Usyk. That punch looked like it was going to land on him. The range was there. He stopped him from moving to the right. It was the perfect move from Tyson Fury, and he was still not able to land the shot. Look how much he overextended with the punch too. He threw that punch with everything he had, caused him to way overextend. Then Fury clinches up with him as Oleksandr Usyk threw out a jab. And Fury can be hard to handle in the clinch because of how big he is. So instead of going strength for strength against Tyson Fury in the clinch, he uses technique. He uses the advantage that he has. He puts his right forearm on Tyson Fury's head, which is going to cause separation between them two. This is a elbow frame or forearm frame. And at the same time, as Fury is trying to rotate, pivoting to the left, Usyk follows the movement and hops slightly to the left, keeping the same angle on Fury at all times, just so Fury cannot grab him. They go to this moment here, and Usyk steps on the outside of the lead foot and throws a jab. And he's been moving out to that right side for most of the fight. But then Usyk starts changing levels again, just like he did before, lowering his levels and ducking and rising, like he's hopping in place. So Fury's going to throw an uppercut to intercept that movement, but it's going to be a left uppercut or a right uppercut, because that matters. There are different angles from those punches. Usyk is going to lower his levels again, but if he does it to the right side, then the left uppercut's gonna land, and the right uppercut could miss. If he moves out to his left, then the right uppercut would most likely land, and the left uppercut could miss. But because Usyk has been constantly moving out to his right side to step on the outside of the lead foot, Fury throws a left uppercut in that moment when Usyk is throwing another jab, lowering his levels a little bit in order to step on the outside of the lead foot, and Fury lands the punch. This is one of the best punches he landed of the entire fight. And then you can see here, Fury extends both of his hands forward as Usyk is trying to get away, but at the same time, he threw a right straight, so he's extending his left arm while also punching with his right arm. He's just too used to that. Fury has the habit of just pushing away at fighters. It's such a habit that he's even throwing punches at the same time that he does it. And anyone with an 85-inch reach is going to have that kind of habit. You know, it's just such an advantage. And then Usyk lands one of the biggest punches of the fight. Step on the outside of the lead foot, extending the jab to the body, just like he did before in order to line up the left hand precisely. But unlike last time, where Fury was trying to shoulder roll the punch, he picks up his right hand and slightly rotates to the left. But Usyk lands a shot either way. Looks like to the right eye of Tyson Fury, because after it looks like he's rubbing that eye. But after the punch lands, Usyk overextends into Fury. They're very close, and Fury always tries to clinch up. So he grabs around Usyk with the left arm, but Usyk doesn't stand still. He's always rotating to his right side, but he pushes Fury with the right hand, getting away from the clinch. Look how smooth Usyk gets under the extended arm of Tyson Fury in order to land the jab to the body. And Fury again picks up the right hand to guard both his head and his body on that right side. But Usyk was able to get around that extended arm so many times throughout the fight and still able to land through that small opening under Fury's right elbow with the left hand to the body multiple times. But notice how Fury has a single collar tie. He's grabbing around Usyk's head with the left hand. This is stopping Usyk from pulling his head back. And Fury tries to land a right uppercut, which looks like it may have missed. But then from that single collar, he turns it into a headlock, which I don't think is allowed in boxing. He literally has his entire arm around the head of Oleksandr Usyk. And the crazy thing is, Usyk was still landing left hands. He was fighting in that position while being massively outsized by his opponent and still winning in that exchange, which Tyson Fury usually wins at. Very few fighters are able to beat Fury in the clinch, and he only let go because the ref told him to. Then we go to this moment here, and Usyk steps on the outside of the lead foot in order to line up the left straight, but this time, he doesn't dip his head to either side. He literally just steps on the outside of the lead foot and throws a jab, but he keeps his head on the center line, allowing Fury's extended arm to actually work in this exchange. He's able to push away at Usyk's head, which is going to cause Usyk's punch to be easier to defend. And he's going to have to reach in more, overextending himself to land the left hand this time because he's at the end of the reach of Tyson Fury. Fury is able to just get on the outside of the punch while partially blocking. And look how Usyk overextends. His footwork and stance are completely off. He's leaning forward with his upper body over his legs, and he's also switching stances forward with his legs almost completely straight. And because of that, Fury was able to land a jab. And Fury was able to land another counter shot as Usyk gets grazed but also slips on the outside of Fury's jab, and he tries to line up the left straight to the body while stepping his left foot on the outside of Fury's lead foot. But Fury this time countered the same move that was working on him many times throughout the fight, and it was all because he was able to move his jabbing hand onto the left shoulder of Usyk. So he's essentially pushing in his shoulder while keeping him at that range, measuring for his right uppercut. Great sequence there from Tyson Fury. But then he throws a 1-2 and Usyk was able to slip both punches. He moves his head on the inside of the jab and Fury throws the right straight while his left hand is still out there. He's one of the few fighters that does that. While his left hand is out there still, fully extended, he will also throw his right straight. So it looks like he's extending with both arms. It's very different technique, but Usyk was mostly able to slip both punches, but the right straight also does slightly land on Usyk. And look at the way that Fury throws his jab. You can see where he bends at the wrist before he flicks his jab out there. It's fast and hard to see sometimes, so he lands a jab on Usyk, who tries to move his head on the left side, then moves his head to the right, so he's creating an elusive target laterally. But when he moves his head to the right side, he goes with the same move that he's done before. He extends his right hand to trap Fury's left hand in order to eliminate it from intercepting his footwork, but Fury was one step ahead. He leaned back, pivoted, and slightly rotated to his right in order to keep himself positioned in order to face Usyk, and lands the right uppercut through the guard. Amazing shot from Tyson Fury. And then he slips his head on the inside of the left straight from Usyk. They both get into a clinch, and Usyk knows he needs to get away from the clinch with Tyson Fury, so he rotates to his left side, and Fury's trying to grab around him with his right arm, lands a left hand, and nearly lands the right hook as a follow-up. Look Look how close this right hook gets to landing flush on Tyson Fury. He was just able to lean his head away from the punch. It looks like it grazes him, but that was a very close shot. And look how close that punch gets on Usyk, who's able to defend that shot as well. Amazing distance management from both of these high-level boxers, man. Then here Usyk has Fury in the corner. And as Fury throws out a jab, Usyk also extends a body jab while moving forward to land the left hand. He steps on the outside the lead foot. Fury is able to lean his head away from the punch by mere millimeters. Insane how these two guys are able to just defend shots like that, but Usyk extends the combination, follows that up with a right hook, and Fury's throwing a left hook. Usyk misses with the punch, and Fury's left hook gets blocked by the shoulder. This is the advantage of throwing punches at a taller opponent. Naturally raises the shoulders, which fighters are taught to do, but in a fight, fighters aren't going to be perfect. So sometimes they'll lower their shoulders as they're throwing punches, but when you're throwing punches at a taller opponent, it naturally brings your shoulders up, so you don't really make that mistake. But as the right hook of Usyk misses, Fury is able to counter him with the right uppercut, which it's hard to tell if it lands flush or hits Usyk's left guard, but this exchange causes Usyk to lose balance to his right side, whether he got punched or his guard got hit, and the power of the much bigger fighter pushed him that direction. But it creates an opening for Fury to get away from the corner. He'll even swing a wide left hook, which is also used to grab the back of the head of his opponent, pull him inward in that single collar tie, so he can land a right uppercut to the body. But in boxing, you're not allowed to grab onto a single collar tie. This is called holding, but Fury's really good at it, I guess. He's the same guy who threw an elbow at Francis Ngannou and did this multiple times in the fight against Oleksandr Usyk. And then the final exchange of the fight, Fury throws a jab, which gets blocked by Usyk, and he steps on the outside the lead foot. Now Fury throws a right uppercut to the body, again countering that footwork from Usyk, throws a right uppercut to the body, and with his left hand, it's almost like he slapped him with the inside of his hand while swinging at the same time, creating momentum. Not a back fist or a hammer fist because he hits with the inside of the glove. Then as Usyk throws the jab, Fury tries to counter him with the left hook, slaps him a little bit on the side of the head, but he's trying to keep him there to try to knock him out the right hook. But notice how Fury is standing tall, both of his legs fully extended. As Usyk fades away from the right hook, Fury overextends, completely open for Oleksandr Usyk's counter shot. Usyk throws the 1-2, the left straight lands, and he follows that up with a combination. Throws a right hook, which Fury was able to move his head with. Then Fury grabs onto another single collar tie, grabbing the head of Usyk to throw a right uppercut to the body, as Usyk is throwing an uppercut to the head. And that's the end of the breakdown, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Great technical fight between the two best heavyweight boxers in the world. And leave the comments below. What'd you guys think about the fight? What'd you guys think about the fight? What'd you think about Usyk and Fury's performance? Because they both did very well. And make sure to give the video a like, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video.